Anger is a thief. It steals your peace while you think you're winning the fight. Anger feels powerful in the moment. It feels like fire rushing through your veins, demanding to be released. Your voice rises, your chest tightens, your hands shake. You feel unstoppable, as if anger itself is proof of your strength. But the truth is darker. Every time you lose yourself in anger, you lose a piece of your peace. You burn your own energy, while the person who triggered you often walks away untouched. Anger punishes you more than it punishes them. It is the thief that robs you quietly, and you don't even notice until your calm is gone, your focus is shattered, and your control is broken. Psychology calls anger a secondary emotion. That means it is not the root, it is the mask. Beneath anger lies hurt, fear, rejection, or frustration, the insult that stings, the betrayal that cuts, the disrespect that pierces your pride. Anger is your armor against these wounds, but in protecting you, it destroys you. You raise your voice to feel strong, yet you feel weaker afterward. You lash out to feel in control, yet you become the puppet of your emotions. This is the hidden truth. Anger is never about them. It is about you, about what inside you is still raw, unhealed, or fragile. And until you see that, you will remain trapped in the cycle. Toxic people know this truth. They live off it. They thrive on your reactions. They understand that if they can trigger you, they can control you. Every insult they throw is bait. Every provocation is a test. They don't need to win the argument. They only need you to explode. Because the moment you do, they know they own you. You gave them proof that their words reached your core. That is why anger is dangerous. It tells the world exactly where your weakness lies. But here is the liberating shift. You can break free. You can choose not to play the game. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who shout the loudest or fight the hardest. The strongest are the ones who refuse to be moved by the noise of others. They have mastered the art of holding their peace even in the middle of chaos. They know what toxic people don't want you to know, that anger is not power, calm is power. Science supports this. Studies show that anger reduces rational thinking, lowers problem-solving ability, and clouds memory. In other words, anger makes you weaker, not stronger. On the other hand, calmness allows your brain to operate at its highest capacity. When you refuse to let anger control you, you keep your clarity. You make smarter decisions. You see people's intentions clearly. You stay 10 steps ahead while they drown in their own storm. That is the real power. Think about this. When has anger ever solved the problem? It may silence someone for a moment, but it doesn't change their mind. It may release tension for a second, but it creates deeper wounds. Anger burns bridges you still need to cross. It turns friends into enemies and opportunities into regrets. But calmness builds bridges. Calmness makes others respect you. Calmness makes people wonder what strength you're hiding. When you remain composed in the face of disrespect, you create an aura of untouchable strength. People notice, they feel it, and toxic people fear it. So how do you escape anger? It begins with awareness. The next time you feel anger rising, stop. Breathe. Ask yourself, what is beneath this? Is it disrespect? Is it fear? Is it pain? Once you see the root, you realize the anger is only the surface. And when you understand the surface, you can choose not to drown in it. You step back. You detach. You let the storm pass without letting it enter you. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It doesn't mean you accept disrespect. It means you respond from strength, not from impulse. It means you set boundaries without losing your peace. Because true strength is measured not by how quickly you react, but by how deeply you remain unshaken. Remember this truth. Every time you stay calm, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your emotions. You show the world that no one controls your state of mind but you. That is victory. That is freedom. So the next time anger knocks on your door, don't open it. Let it stay outside. Because anger is a thief and peace is priceless. Guard it with everything you have. Because the one who controls their anger controls their life. When someone tries to break you with words, they're not showing you who you are, they're showing you who they are. This is the hidden truth about human behavior. People don't treat you according to your worth. They treat you according to their wounds, their anger, their jealousy, their criticism. It's never a reflection of your identity. It's a projection of their pain. Psychology calls this projection. It's the mirror effect. Whatever lives inside a person eventually spills out, and you happen to be the surface it lands on. When a toxic person insults you, understand this, those words were never born from truth. They were born from their insecurity. If they mock your choices, it's because they fear their own. If they laugh at your dreams, it's because they abandoned theirs long ago. If they attack your confidence, it's because they lack it in themselves. The mirror doesn't lie. Their venom is not a message about you. It is a confession about them. But here is where most people fall into the trap. Instead of recognizing the projection, they absorb it. They believe the words. They replay them in their head until doubt replaces clarity. That is how anger begins. That is how bitterness takes root. You think you're fighting an enemy outside of you, but the real enemy is the voice you let in. The insult doesn't destroy you, the belief does. This is why emotional intelligence matters. Studies show that emotionally intelligent people are less likely to take things personally. They see the projection for what it is, a mirror of the other person's inner war. Imagine standing in front of someone holding a cracked mirror. If the reflection looks broken, does it mean your face is broken? No, the distortion belongs to the mirror, not to you. And yet, so many people accept distorted reflections as truth. They let broken mirrors define their identity. That is why they stay angry. That is why they feel unworthy. But you don't have to live that way. You can learn to see differently. When someone criticizes you, pause. Ask yourself, does this belong to me? Or to them, 9 times out of 10, it belongs to them. They're throwing pieces of their broken glass in your direction, hoping you'll bleed from wounds that were never yours. But you don't have to catch it. You don't have to make their problems your prison. The mirror effect teaches you detachment. You stop seeing words as daggers and start seeing them as reflections. This gives you freedom, because once you know their insults are about them, not you, why waste your energy being angry? Why hand over your peace to someone drowning in their own pain? Anger only chains you to their chaos. Detachment sets you free. Toxic people want your reaction. They want proof that their reflection has power over you. But when you stay calm, when you refuse to internalize their projection, you shatter their illusion. They realize their words bounced off. They realize the mirror cracked, but you didn't. And that silence, your silence, is more powerful than any comeback could ever be. Science even proves this. According to research on emotional regulation, the ability to reframe situations is one of the most effective ways to reduce anger and stress. Reframing is exactly what the mirror effect is. You stop saying, "They hurt me," and you start saying, "They revealed themselves." That shift changes everything. Suddenly, you don't feel attacked. You feel informed. You don't feel small. You feel aware. You don't carry their poison. You leave it with them. Think of the time someone tried to bring you down. Was it ever someone who was truly happy, truly fulfilled, truly at peace with themselves? No, because people who are secure don't project pain. People who are healed don't throw daggers. The happiest people encourage. The confident people lift others higher. The fulfilled people celebrate others' victories. If someone tried to break you, it was never because you were weak. It was because they were. So here's the silent strategy. Let people's words reveal them. Don't react. Don't absorb, just observe. Watch their reflection with clarity, and then walk away with your peace untouched. Because at the end of the day, their words say nothing about you. They scream everything about them. The mirror effect is not just a concept. It is a shield. It is the invisible armor that protects your spirit from the projections of others. With it, you stop being a victim of people's words. You become the master of your own peace. And in that mastery, anger dissolves. Because anger is born when you believe the projection. Calmness is born when you see the truth. So remember this always. The next time someone throws hate at you, pause, smile inside, and say to yourself, "That's your reflection, not mine." Then keep walking, untouched, unbroken, unshaken. Your silence is not weakness. It is proof that no one can pull you out of your peace without your permission. Silence is often misunderstood. People confuse it with surrender. They think silence means you had no words left to defend yourself, no strength to fight back. But that's not the truth. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence is power contained. It is strength disciplined. It is the refusal to waste energy on battles that do not deserve your soul. Toxic people thrive on reaction. They feed off the drama of raised voices, the tension of arguments, the chaos of emotional explosions. They want to see you lose control, because in your anger they see victory. But silence denies them this. Silence is the weapon they cannot touch. When you stay silent, you starve them of the reaction they crave. and that quiet resistance burns them more than any comeback ever could. Psychology explains why silence unsettles manipulators. It creates a void they cannot control. When you don't respond, they don't know if you are hurt, if you are unaffected, or if you are planning something greater. Silence leaves them guessing. And the human mind hates uncertainty. That is why your calm, wordless presence is more powerful than 1,000 angry words. It forces the other person to face themselves without distraction. But silence is not about suppression. It is not about swallowing your pain and pretending you're unaffected. That is weakness, and weakness poisons the soul. True silence is chosen, not forced. It is the conscious decision to remain calm because you know your energy is too valuable to waste. It is choosing inner peace over outer noise. It is the understanding that not every action deserves a reaction, not every insult deserves an answer, and not every battle deserves your participation. Think about it. When has shouting ever convinced someone of your worth? When has rage ever changed a toxic person's nature? It doesn't. Words thrown in anger rarely land with meaning. They scatter. They wound. They make you look as unstable as the one who provoked you. But silence makes people wonder. Silence makes people listen. Silence makes people respect what they cannot understand. There is a saying, the lion does not turn when small dogs bark. This is silence as strength. The lion doesn't waste energy proving its power. Its silence is enough because its presence speaks louder than noise. In the same way, your silence tells the world you are above the games, above the manipulation, above the drama. You have nothing to prove to those who cannot see your worth. Science supports this too. Studies on conflict resolution show that moments of silence create space for emotions to settle. They shift the balance of power. The one who speaks less often holds more control because they are not ruled by impulse. Silence signals confidence. Silence signals mastery. Silence signals that you choose when, how, and if you will respond. And that choice is strength. But silence is also a mirror. It reflects people back to themselves. When you stop reacting, toxic people are forced to sit with their own noise. They have no one to blame, no one to push, no one to draw energy from. They face their emptiness. That is why your silence enrages them. It forces them to see the truth they've been running from. So the next time someone tries to drag you into their chaos, remember this. You don't have to join. You don't have to meet noise with noise. Your silence will do more damage than your words ever could. Every second you refuse to react, you grow stronger while they grow weaker. Every moment you remain calm, you prove that their power over you has ended. This does not mean you stay silent forever. It means you use silence as strategy. You pause until your emotions are clear. You wait until your peace is steady. And then, if you choose to speak, your words will carry weight because they are not fueled by anger, but by strength. A silent warrior who finally speaks shakes the ground more than a loud fighter ever could. Remember this truth. Anger is predictable, but silence is mysterious. And mystery is power. People can defend against your words, but they cannot defend against your silence. They don't know what it means, where it leads, or how to respond. That is why silence is feared by the manipulative and respected by the wise. So guard your silence. Don't waste it on the unworthy. Use it as your shield, your sword, your hidden advantage. Because silence is not emptiness. It is full of discipline, clarity, and self-control. It is the ultimate proof that you belong to yourself, and no one else has the authority to move you. Your silence is your crown. Wear it with pride. Because in a world addicted to noise, the one who stays silent is the one who truly commands respect. Your greatest defense in life is not a sharp tongue or a heavy fist. It is the shield of emotional control. Every day the world throws something at you. An insult, a rejection, a betrayal, a disrespectful glance. Some attacks are loud, others are subtle, but all are designed to test your balance. The question is never whether people will try to hurt you. The real question is whether you will let them succeed. And the answer lies in one invisible weapon, your emotional shield. What is this shield? It is not silence alone. It is not pretending nothing bothers you. It is the deeper strength of self-mastery, the ability to feel the emotion rise, to acknowledge it, but not to let it own you. When you hold this shield, nothing penetrates. Every insult bounces back. Every attempt to provoke you falls flat. Not because the world has stopped attacking, but because you have stopped absorbing. Psychologists call this emotional regulation. It is the skill of managing your inner world, no matter the storm outside. Studies show that people with strong regulation skills are less likely to suffer stress, depression, or manipulation. Why? Because they know how to place the shield between themselves and the attack. They don't let toxic people crawl inside their head. They don't hand over their peace as a gift to those who don't deserve it. They remain whole. They remain intact. Imagine walking through a battlefield without armor. Every arrow pierces you. Every strike leaves a wound. That is life without an emotional shield. Every insult cuts deep. Every rejection breaks you. Every toxic person leaves a scar. But now imagine the same battlefield with armor wrapped around you. The arrows hit, but they don't break you. The blows land, but they don't reach you. That is life with emotional intelligence. That is the emotional shield. And here's the truth. Toxic people fear the shield. They want you reactive. They want you defensive. They want you bleeding from words that were never meant to define you. But when your shield is up, their weapons become useless. Their insults sound empty. Their manipulation fails. Their power over you dissolves. Because how can they control someone they cannot reach? The shield is not built overnight. It is forged in discipline. Every time you choose not to react, you strengthen it. Every time you breathe instead of explode, you polish it. Every time you detach instead of absorb, you make it unbreakable. Piece by piece, day by day, you construct an armor of peace so strong that nothing outside can destroy what lives inside. But here's the warning. Without this shield, anger becomes your master. Every provocation will own you. You will live like a puppet, pulled by anyone who knows the strings of your emotions. The shield is not a luxury. It is survival. Without it, the world will drain you. With it, the world cannot touch you. Think of the most powerful people in history. Were they loud? Were they reactive? Or were they calm, calculated, unshaken? Their strength was not in how fast they shouted back, but in how little they were moved. Calmness is intimidating. Composure is terrifying. To stand in chaos with peace on your face is to announce to the world, I am untouchable. That is the power of the shield. But let's be clear, this shield is not coldness. It is not about becoming numb or indifferent to life. It is not about burying your emotions. It is about mastery, not denial. You still feel, you still care, but you decide when, how, and if you will respond. That choice is freedom. That choice is strength. So how do you build it? Start with awareness. When you feel provoked, pause. Breathe deeply. Remind yourself this belongs to them, not me. Create distance between the stimulus and your reaction. Then practice detachment. Not everyone deserves your response. Not every battle deserves your energy. Guard your peace the way a warrior guards their heart. And finally, remind yourself daily, your value is not determined by the noise around you, but by the calm within you. This is the emotional shield. It is invisible to the eye, but undeniable to the spirit. People will sense it. They will realize they cannot move you, and in that moment, they will either respect you or fear you. Both are victories. So carry this truth everywhere. The world will never stop testing you. People will never stop provoking you. But you get to decide whether you walk into battle naked or armored. Your silence, your calmness, your self-control, that is your armor. That is your strength. That is the shield that makes you untouchable. The opposite of love is not hate. It is indifference, and nothing disarms a toxic person more than realizing they no longer matter. Toxic people crave attention. They survive on your energy, whether it comes in the form of love, anger, or even hate. To them, any reaction is proof that they still have a place in your mind. That is why indifference is the most devastating response you can give. When you stop caring, when you stop reacting, when you stop showing them they matter, you strip away their power. You leave them starving in the very place where they once fed. Indifference is not about pretending. It's not about faking calm while your heart burns with rage. It is about shifting your inner reality until they truly no longer affect you. This is why indifference is so powerful. It's genuine. It is not a mask. It is mastery. It tells the world, I am free from your grip. Psychology explains why indifference works. Human beings are wired to seek validation. When someone provokes you, they're fishing for proof that they still exist in your world. If you respond with anger, you give them confirmation. If you argue, you give them validation. Even if you hate them, you prove they still matter. But indifference? Indifference says, you don't even enter my thoughts anymore. That is the deepest wound a toxic person can receive. Think of a flame. Oxygen keeps it alive. If you blow on it, it burns hotter. If you feed it, it grows. But if you starve it, it dies. Toxic people are the same. Your energy is their oxygen. Every argument, every reaction, every ounce of emotional investment is fuel. But indifference cuts it off. You don't fight. You don't feed. You simply walk away and let the fire die on its own. This doesn't mean indifference is easy. In fact, it may be the hardest discipline you'll ever master because your pride will want to defend itself. Your emotions will want to fight back. Your anger will scream for release. But every time you choose indifference over reaction, you grow stronger. You train your mind to rise above the noise, and eventually their words and actions lose the power to touch you. Indifference is freedom. It frees you from the prison of needing someone else's approval. It frees you from the burden of carrying someone else's poison. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of reaction, regret, and rage. With indifference, you no longer live as a victim of their behavior. You live as the master of your own peace. But understand this, indifference is not cruelty. It is not about wishing harm on them or secretly hoping they suffer. That's still giving them space in your mind. True indifference is neutral. It is the steady belief that their actions have nothing to do with you. You neither love them nor hate them. You simply detach. They become irrelevant. And irrelevance is far more devastating to the ego than hate could ever be. History shows us this truth. The most powerful leaders, thinkers, and warriors did not waste time fighting every critic. They moved with indifference toward noise. They stayed focused on their mission, not on their enemies. That is why they rose above while their enemies drowned in bitterness. The lesson is clear. Greatness does not come from fighting every battle. Greatness comes from choosing the right battles and ignoring the rest. Science echoes this wisdom. Research on emotional intelligence shows that detachment is one of the strongest predictors of resilience. People who practice indifference toward negativity are less likely to suffer stress, depression, or manipulation. Why? Because they don't internalize the poison. They let it pass. They stay light. They stay free. So how do you build this power? Start small. The next time someone tries to provoke you, don't argue. Don't defend. Don't even explain. Simply let it pass. Train your mind to say, this is not mine to carry. Shift your focus back to what matters. Your goals, your peace, your growth. Every time you do this, you reinforce your independence. You remind yourself that their noise does not deserve your attention. Indifference is not weakness. It is dominance. Because the truth is, anyone can shout back. Anyone can get angry. But very few can stay unmoved in the face of provocation. Indifference is the proof that you have risen above. It is the crown of self-mastery. So remember this. The next time a toxic person pushes for your reaction, give them nothing. Let their words echo in silence. Let their actions fade into irrelevance. Because nothing is more crushing than realizing you no longer matter in the life of the one you tried to control. Indifference is your greatest revenge. It is your shield. It is your freedom. It is the silent announcement that you are untouchable. And once you master it, you will never again be enslaved by the opinions or actions of anyone. The moment you learn to watch your own mind, you gain a power that no one can take from you. Anger is not born from what happens outside. It rises from how we process it inside. Most people believe that others make them angry, but the truth is, anger is the reaction of a mind that has lost awareness of itself. The weapon against this is not more control, not more force, but awareness. The key is becoming the inner observer. The inner observer is that silent part of you that watches without judgment. It sees the anger rising but does not fuel it. It hears the insult but does not let it pierce. It feels the trigger but does not become the reaction. When you live in this state, you stop being a slave to impulses. You are no longer dragged by emotions. You become steady, calm, and unshakable. Psychologists call this meta-awareness, the ability to step outside your immediate experience and see it from above. It is like standing on a mountain, looking down at the storm in the valley. The storm rages, the winds blow, but you are not inside it. You observe, you understand, and you remain safe. This is not suppression. Suppression locks emotions inside until they explode. Observation instead lets them flow through you without damage. Think about this. When you are lost in anger, it owns you. But when you observe it, you own it. You see the thoughts racing, the heat rising in your chest, the urge to speak or act. And in that moment, awareness creates space. That space is power. In that space, you choose. Do I act? Do I let it pass? Do I remain silent? You are no longer controlled by reflex. You are free. This is not something you master in one day. It requires practice. Small moments, a pause before responding, a deep breath before reacting, a question whispered to yourself. What am I feeling right now? These tiny practices build the inner observer, and slowly anger loses its grip because the mind that can see itself cannot be ruled by chaos. Toxic people thrive on reaction. They press your buttons because they know you will explode. But the observer is buttonless. You may feel the attempt, but you see it from above. You understand the psychology behind it. And when you see you are no longer trapped, their game ends because you refuse to play. Silence becomes your response, not weakness, but strength. Calmness becomes your weapon, not against them, but for yourself. Research shows that mindfulness rewires the brain. It strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part that makes choices, and weakens the amygdala, the part that reacts. This means awareness literally reshapes your mind, making you less reactive and more resilient. You are not just pretending to be calm, you are becoming calm at the deepest level. The inner observer also gives clarity. You begin to see patterns in others. Who manipulates, who provokes, who drains energy. And instead of reacting with anger, you respond with wisdom. You learn when to walk away, when to stay silent, when to protect your peace. And this makes you untouchable. Not because life is free of chaos, but because you are no longer shaken by it. Anger is fire. It destroys the one who holds it more than the one it is thrown at. But the observer holds no fire. It only sees. It understands that emotions are like clouds. They come, they pass, they vanish. Nothing lasts. And when you live with that awareness, you do not cling, you do not burn, you do not drown, you simply remain. The greatest strength is not in fighting anger, it is in watching it dissolve on its own. And the one who masters this becomes rare, powerful, and free. Because while others are slaves to reaction, you are anchored in awareness. This is the secret. This is the shield. This is the inner observer. The greatest power you will ever hold is the power you take back from those who once controlled your emotions. Every time you get angry, you hand over your power. You let someone else dictate how you feel, how you think, how you act. They push and you move. They speak and you react. But this is not strength. This is slavery. To reclaim your power, you must stop feeding others with your emotional energy. You must learn to own yourself again. Power is not loud. It is not rage, revenge, or dominance. Real power is calm. Real power is control. It is the ability to remain steady when others want you to break. Toxic people feed off your reactions. They test you, trigger you, and celebrate when you explode. Why? Because every outburst proves they own you. But when you remain calm, when you refuse to be moved, you starve them. You reclaim what was always yours. Your mind, your peace, your dignity. Psychology calls this locus of control. People with an external locus believe life controls them. They blame others for every emotion. People with an internal locus know they are responsible for how they respond. They do not give away their energy. They do not hand out their peace. They protect it like a treasure because they know that whoever controls their emotions controls their life. Reclaiming your power starts with awareness. You must notice when you are being pulled into someone's trap, the gossip that wants you angry, the manipulator who wants you defensive, the narcissist who wants you drained. When you catch the game, you break it. You see the invisible strings and you cut them one by one, and suddenly you stand free. But freedom is not enough. You must also build. You reclaim your power by choosing where to place your energy, not on petty fights, not on empty battles, not on people who are addicted to chaos. Instead, you place it on growth, purpose, and self-mastery. You stop being a reactor. You become a creator. Anger once burned your strength. Now discipline shapes it. There is deep psychology here. When you stop reacting, you deny toxic people reinforcement. Studies in behavioral science show that when an action is no longer rewarded, it dies. If they cannot provoke you, if they cannot drain you, if they cannot control you, they eventually give up. Your calmness becomes their defeat. Your silence becomes their punishment. But the deeper truth is this: reclaiming your power is not about them. It is about you. It is about no longer being a prisoner to anger. It is about walking into a storm and remaining the storm's master. It is about living in a way where no one has access to the deepest parts of you without permission. That is true power, the ability to decide who gets your energy and who gets nothing at all. When you reclaim your power, something remarkable happens. Your life transforms. People respect you more because you respect yourself. Toxic people fade because you no longer fuel them, and inside you feel light, steady, unshakable. You realize that no insult, no betrayal, no rejection is worth your peace. Peace is priceless, and it belongs only to you. This is not weakness, it is not passivity, it is control, it is mastery, it is choosing battles that matter and letting go of the ones that don't. It is rising above, not sinking down. It is walking away, not because you cannot fight, but because you are too powerful to waste your fire. The truth is, you were never powerless. You simply forgot. You forgot that anger is not strength. You forgot that silence is not weakness. You forgot that your mind belongs only to you. And now, as you remember, you reclaim it. You take back your peace. You take back your strength. You take back your power. And once reclaimed, never give it away again. The loudest victories are temporary, but the silent ones last forever. There is a kind of triumph that no one claps for, no one sees, no one even knows about, yet it changes everything. It is not the victory of crushing an opponent with words. It is not the victory of proving yourself right. It is not the victory of shouting the loudest or fighting the hardest. The greatest victory is the silent one, the one where you rise above without making a sound, where you win without lifting a finger, where you remain calm while the world tries to shake you. This silent victory begins the moment you refuse to be controlled. When someone tries to provoke you and you do not react, you win. When a toxic person pushes your buttons and you stay still, you win. When anger tries to take over but you breathe instead of explode, you win. No one may notice, no one may cheer, but deep inside you know you just chose peace over chaos. That is power. That is freedom. Psychologists speak of response inhibition, the ability to pause before reacting. This is not just self-control, it is a higher form of intelligence. It means you are no longer a slave to impulse. You decide your moves instead of letting emotion decide them for you. Every time you resist the urge to fight, you train your brain for strength. You rewire yourself to become unshakable. And over time, this becomes natural. Calmness becomes your new weapon. Silence becomes your new victory. Toxic people cannot understand this power. They thrive on noise, on drama, on the chaos of constant battles. They live to see you stumble, lose control, break character. But when you remain calm, you take away their fuel. You take away their victory. They wanted your reaction. They wanted your anger. They wanted your weakness. You gave them nothing. And in that nothing, you conquered them without a word. This is the victory no one talks about because it is invisible. You do not walk away with applause. You walk away with peace. You do not gain recognition from others. You gain mastery over yourself. And that is worth more than any outward success, because in the end, battles against others fade. But the battle within, the one against your own anger, your own ego, this is the war that defines your life. Win that war, and you win forever. Think of it like a game of chess. The beginner celebrates when he takes a pawn. The master celebrates when he sees 10 moves ahead. Silence is seeing ahead. You know that reacting now will cost you later. You know that shouting now will weaken you tomorrow. So you let the moment pass. And though they think they have won, you know the truth. You are in control. They are not. That is the silent victory. Research in emotional intelligence shows that those who master calmness not only live longer but also achieve more. Why? Because their energy is not wasted on battles that do not matter. They conserve their fire for building, not burning. They direct their strength toward growth, not grudges. They rise, while others remain trapped in endless cycles of anger. The silent victory is not just about peace in the moment. It is about creating a life that cannot be shaken by noise. And here is the paradox. Silence looks weak to those who are blind. They think you are ignoring. They think you are avoiding. They think you are powerless. But deep down, silence is the highest proof of strength. Anyone can yell. Anyone can fight. But only the strong can stay calm when the weak are trying to drag them down. Silence is not retreat. It is dominance expressed without ego. Every day gives you chances to win this silent victory. The insult you don't answer. The argument you don't fuel. The trap you don't fall into. Each moment is a battle. Each restraint is a win. And over time, those wins compound into mastery. You no longer chase control, you are control. You no longer search for strength, you are strength. So remember this.